Seni boyani bose kamubona. No matwangira moneni baita sangala basansa. I don't need to go no pota muchibansa. Indiponda na chipam baba zambi. Kwenda kumbuya bantu bose kama potential mwena osalema. Maybe see the match song but I'm saying.
This is Football Time on 5FM Radio. Let's now join your host.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Football Time on 5FM and Muchinga Radio in Chinsali, our partner radio station for this program. Coming up on the show this morning, news in the world of football. The Zambian Super League entering week 16 with pulsating encounters in the offing on both Saturday and Sunday. Time allowing, we'll also touch base with some of the fixtures in major leagues around. Is a football analyst, Mambo Kalapa, senior sports writer, put a muscle in training yesterday, make it in the final squad for today, but we are hoping he's going to be okay come next Saturday. But I must say, contributions to the team, as you know, on Football Time, we attack as a team and end as a team, and also score as a team.
Yeah, definitely. He's still in the provisional squad
for today.
for today, waiting assessment, of course. But definitely one of our main players on the show. We just wish him well, wish him a quick recovery on the injury that he sustained. But he's definitely going to be joining us in the subsequent programs. Good morning, our dear listeners.
Talking of provisional squad, Avram Grant has named his 50-man provisional squad for the upcoming prestigious Africa Cup of Nations that will be hosted by Ivory Coast. Happy with the names you've seen on that list, Mambo?
Oh wow! I think most of the names were definitely expected to be on the list. I think there are only very few players that have made the list that we thought maybe could not. We are not really like the names we thought could have been there. But all in all, I think it's a list that has got players that we feel definitely deserve to be there. And others need to be assessed to see if they can actually make the grade and be part of the team as they go to the Africa Cup of Nations. And as you may be aware, the Africa Cup of Nations is just a few weeks from now. So it's all up to the players now to prove that they are up to the challenge. They can do it, and they can make the grade. And for me, I think the notables is the return definitely of or is it the availability again of Tostan Sabata? We know he's one of the best goalkeepers around, playing for Zesco United now. There's also Francis Mwansa as the goalkeeper. He's had a couple of caps now for the national team. Then you have got, as usual, Lawrence Mlenga and Charles Kalumba of Red Arrows. Lawrence Mlenga, of course, of Power Dynamos. But there's also the calling of Aime Mavika. He has not been around. He had been called some time back, and as we may be aware, like we announced some time back when everything now had been put in place in terms of the passport and the like, we just hoping that he's now going to be available so that he can be assessed and to see if he actually can make the grade and play for the national team. There's also Gift Mpande, who plays in Israel, one of the defenders, as well as Luka Band of Napsa Stars. Matthew Chavala of Zesco United has been given a call up. So it's quite a long list if you just look at the number itself, 50. From 50, how many teams can you make there? If you're talking of 44, you are talking of 4 teams of 11 players each, with a player on the bench for each team. So all in all, it's a very, very long list, and definitely many are not going to be making the final list. As we may be aware, the final list will just have to be maybe about, is it 23 or 25, somewhere about there. Been an inclusion of having, I think, about 3 goalkeepers or so in the squad. So half the number that we have there are not going to make it for the final list, and to go and represent Zambia at the Africa Cup of Nations. So it's a good list, and at least the players are going to be assessed fairly, so if I may put it. And for me, there's also the inclusion of the young man from Young Boys, who has been included also in the provisional list. Remember, last time around, he was not given a call up to the national team, and there were other issues that were said that actually people were putting across to say this could have been one of the reasons why the players had not been called, because maybe of contractual issues or maybe agent issues and all that kind of thing. But all in all, I think that everybody that we expected to be called is there. Gift Kumalo of Green Buffaloes, Miguel Chaiwa, like I said. In the middle of the pack, you have the likes of Jack Chiro, strangers who have been given a recall. There's also the inclusion of Mana Chiwisa, who plays in Italy. Atlanta, of course, still not so much in the main team at Atlanta in Italy, but he's based in Italy. That's why he plies his trade. And then there's also Kelvin Kapumbu. I think for me, he's one player that we definitely missed in that game against Niger. He's a ball winner, basically just about the best ball winner that we have. I think the other players that I've seen in our league, just even in the national team itself, we've got so many of our ball players, apart from the defenders, of course, whose duty is to win the ball. I think in the middle of the pack, somebody who is able to protect that back four, I think Kelvin Kapumbu, for me, stands out as one of the best that we have. He's a very, very good player. Sometime back, he's one of those players that you would say was not very good discipline-wise in terms of tactical discipline, so to say. Or technical discipline, if you may put it, because in winning the ball most of the time.
What is the difference, tactical and technical discipline?
Maybe tactical would be more of where the player should be able to position themselves according to instruction.
Isn't that positional discipline?
However you may put it, but I'm talking about technical part of it in terms of the technical aspect of it that they should be able to use in terms of winning the ball without committing a foul. Now I think he has mastered that trade, because it was not every game excuse me, that he would come out of the field without a yellow card, when he was more so when he was at Zanaco. At Zanaco, it was almost every other game Kelvin Kapumbu would receive a yellow card or even a red card. But at this time around, he's more of a clean player. He'll win the ball fair and square, and be able to distribute it to other players who are ball playing players and ball distributors to the final third. So for me, I think he's one player that we definitely really missed. There's also the likes of Enoch Sakala, who has shown some good form in the recent past for Zesco United. Lazarus Kambole as well. Kingston Mutandwa, remember he moved to Italy some few months ago, so playing for Cagliari. So it's a whole list, but like I said, half of the players in this list are not going to make it. We are just going to have about 25 players that are going to make the final list.
We have a message from Gredeo Mundea. It says, Dazo and the football family, good morning. Wishing all the best to the summoned players. Let them show themselves that they are capable of playing for Mother Zambia. Finally, why are our under 15 not playing at the COSAFA tournament in South Africa?
Not sure of the logistics that had been put in place. But I think most of our players in terms of under 15 are coming from schools. And as we may be aware, there's a schools tournament for the under 15 that is taking place, where our boys are participating and our girls as well in the under 15 category. That is for the pupils. And we saw them beating Angola. Was it 2-1? And the girls also a very, very good outing in a game which they won. Was it 10-0 or 10-1 or something
They're
like
learning
that?
good manners.
They are learning very, very
From
good
their
manners. From the
seniors.
senior, the age category entails that the player will have to come from the schools, because as it were, somebody who is 15 years old definitely will and will have to be a pupil, and our school's team is participating in that category, and most of have to have been called from that team, and there's another tournament that the boys and girls are participating in. So that's how it is. And is it being held in Harare? It's in Zimbabwe, right? I think it's the tournament is held in Zimbabwe, but that is the schools the CAF schools championship. Yeah.
You are listening to Football Time on 5FM and Muchinga Radio in Chinsali. Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, and Erling Haaland are the three finalists for the FIFA 2023 Best Men's Player Award. World governing body FIFA said on Thursday. And the shortlist for the women's best player includes two 2023 World Cup champions, Aitana Bonmati and Jennifer Hermoso from Spain. Alongside Linda Caicedo, who represents Colombia, the winners will be announced on 15th January in London, England. Let's start with the men's shortlist, Mambo.
It's a. I think I got the players that we expect to be there. I don't know. Last time around, I think the Ballon d'Or that was won by Messi, it was attributed to his performance more at the World Cup than anywhere else. Remember, Argentina were winning the World Cup for the very first time after that last time in 1986 when the hand of God helped Argentina in that trophy. Was it in Mexico, 1986? Yeah, should have been in Mexico, because 1990 was Italia 90. I think Mexico was in 1986 with Diego Maradona as the talisman for Argentina and winning that World Cup. Since then, Argentina had been mainly in the recent past. We saw them reaching the final. I think in Brazil, when they were beaten by Germany in the final. They progressed all the way up to the very end, only not to make it, and winning that the much coveted Jules Rimet trophy. But after that, I think Messi, going into the evenings of his career, it just had to be this time around, and that's how Argentina won it. And they were mainly dependent on Messi's performance, but the whole team around was magnificent. But Messi definitely was the outstanding player of the year, and that was probably one of the criteria that was used in determining who gets a Ballon d'Or, and then on it was Messi. But this time around with Mbappe, who also was very, very outstanding at the World Cup. And I'm pretty sure that...
sorry to cut you short, Mambo. Messi won this award in 2022 on account of his performances at the World Cup.
Exactly.
Now, if assuming he wins it, based on what?
Probably it could still get to that, because I think it's something maybe they may want to consider. But this time around, I think because the year is ending now, if you are going to start counting from January up to now, I think there's so much time that has passed, and so many games that have been played, and Messi has actually been on the other side, playing for Inter Miami in the USA. Haaland, on the other side, won the Champions League with Manchester City. He did very, very well.
Won the FA Cup with Manchester City.
And won the league, won the treble. That was massive. That was massive. It's something that had never been done in England since 1999, when Manchester United won that treble. And this time around, with Haaland being as the focal point, scoring all all the most important goals for Manchester City en route to them winning the UEFA Champions League to become just about, is it the fifth or sixth team in, I think fifth team in England to win the European Cup, joining the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Aston Villa, as well as Nottingham Forest. Manchester City joined that club of teams that has won that continental silverware in England, and they actually had been struggling even when they have had the best of players, the likes of Aguero, they've had the likes of Nasri, they've had the likes of Fernandinho, they've had the likes of Vincent Kompany, but they just never won it until Erling Haaland came in and he performed. That was about it was his first season, actually last season, when he joined Manchester City, and just in his first season scored so many goals and actually helped the team win that trophy. So for me, I think as an individual, he definitely had that outstanding performance. Any other season, if it was not a World Cup season, I think you would definitely have given it to Haaland. I mean the Ballon d'Or. But this time around, coming from January up to the end of the year, which is December, Haaland has still performed very, very well and has done extremely good in terms of scoring goals and doing all that he had to be doing for Manchester City. So it's actually been a very, very good outing for Haaland for the year. Mbappe as well has been exceptional. That's why I said even the Ballon d'Or, if that match had gone any other way, I think the penalty shootout was the determinant of who wins the Ballon d'Or. I think it was more of a lottery even on the Ballon d'Or part of it, because Mbappe in the final and played extremely well. And if you look at the World Cup itself, most of the goals that were scored by Messi were actually penalties, and Mbappe scored more of his goals from open play. So I think for me, even in the most outstanding performance, Mbappe will still have claimed some sort of ownership of that. But all in all, some other football experts decided that Messi was the standout performer and thereby deserved to win the Ballon d'Or. So for me, it's still not going to be an easy one. I think it's still going to be a tightly contested. I think the margins are still going to be very, very minimal in terms of the voting pattern and ultimately who gets to win the award.
The women's shortlist?
Well, I think it cannot go anywhere apart from the Spaniards. I think Hermoso was very, very good. But Linda of Colombia, I think that little girl is so talented. If you look at the quality of the goals that she scored, her dribbling skills on the ball, and all that she's able to do with the ball, she's an exceptional player, a very, very good young lass who's got that great technical ability on the ball, and she's just a natural, that one. I think she's definitely going places in the next few years to come. I think that's the name that you are going to be talking about in women football. She's definitely the one, that one. But I think with the exploits of the Spanish national side, apart from the controversies that arose after they won the championship, the World Cup with the FA president there and the players, I think ultimately they had a very, very good team spirit. They had very, very good and outstanding individual performances. But I think for me, I would not see any further than either of the Spaniards winning it, more so Hermoso, who was very, very outstanding in most of the games that Spain played.
We'll wait for the 15th of January to see who the winners will be for the FIFA Men's Player of the Year award, as well as the FIFA Women's Player of the Year award will be. There's also the best coaches for both men's and women's football. All those will get to know on the 15th of January when the winners will be announced. We have another message, Mambo, here from Mola Mova. He says, good morning, Dazo and Mr. Kalapa. I'm glad Gampani Jones Lungu been given a call up to the national team, and hopefully he proves his worth, because personally I love his work rate and consistency at SuperSport United.
You know, for me, I think sometimes it's just about the tactical approach of the match for the coach. Sometimes even the very good of players may not be part of the coach's plan, because maybe tactically the way the coach wants to go with they may not actually fit in the tactical approach. But for me, Gampani, if you want somebody who's going to work for the team, sometimes he may not even score United, but he's always playing. He's always there. That's for a reason. He may be a striker. I think for me, there's also that versatility part of this player. Remember, he's one player that has played in defense, played in the middle of the park, and he has played up front. He played. I think he used to play for Lumwana Radiance at some point. Then moved to Power Dynamos, and then that's when he trekked to South Africa. So he's one player who's very, very versatile. He can play in defense, he can play in the middle, and he can play up front. And he's one player, like has been attributed by our listener. He's a very hard worker. He works for the team. And if you want a player that is going to help you tactically in terms of starting to defend from the front, Gampani Lungu is one of those players. And for me, I would really love that this player actually makes the cut for the team that is going to travel to Ivory Coast. If you like I said, for SuperSport United, and SuperSport United are actually not doing bad in the PSL, in the South African Premier Soccer League. They are doing very, very well. And Gampani Lungu is a mainstay in their starting lineup. He's always available and he's always playing. And at the times, he's a 90 minutes player. Yes, he's playing up front, but he may not score goals. But there's something that he does for the team that enables the other strikers to come into play and be able to score goals. So for me as well, just like our listener, I'm very happy that he's one of those players that have been called to this provisional squad, and I'm hoping that he's gonna be able to make the cut ultimately.
Oh yeah, our good friend Francis Nyangulu. Morning, DJ Daz on Mambo. This program is best always keep us updated. Where is Desmond? He's around in Osaka. Next time, 2 more soccer analysts, if it's possible, watching you from town center, force majeure. Francis.
No, how do we apply that force measure?
We need
I think by bringing in two more analysts.
You are on our Football Time on 5FM and Muchinga Radio in Chinsali, our partner radio station for this program. Well, we've heard you, Francis. We'll cast our net wider and bring in 2 more football analysts. Let's now move on, Mambo, to the Zambian Super League that enters week 16 this weekend. First up, Mighty Mufulira Wanderers at Chinde Stadium hosting the defending champions, Powerful Power Dynamos. This is a battle of the Titans. It doesn't get bigger and better than this.
Well, it's a very, very big one, this one. Power Dynamos have been out of sorts in the recent past. They have not won a game in their last 3 matches. Remember, they were held to a 1-0 draw by Musa, and then that was at home. Went away in Ndola to play against Forest Rangers. They were beaten by former coach Mwenya Chipepo's side. Forest Rangers 1-0. Then I played against a promoted side, the Trident, at home, and they drew that one 0-0. Whatever has happened to the score of Andy Boyeli at Power Dynamos, because they still have the main core of that team actually, and they actually even strengthened that team with the likes of Baby Onka Musangala, formerly of Trident. Couldn't do so much last weekend as they Trident themselves. So Power Dynamos are now playing against Mighty Mufulira Wanderers, are traveling to play against Mighty Mufulira Wanderers. I think this one is it's definitely a tricky one because Might and Fuller Wanderers as well in their last 3 games have not registered any win. Also, they've got only 1 point to show for in their last 3 games. From the possible 9 points, they've only garnered 1 point from the last 3 games that they have played. Remember, they were beaten 2-0 by Prison Lepers before they drew 1-0 against Nkwazi, and then last weekend when they were playing against fellow promoted side Konkola Blades in Chirilabombwe, they were beaten handsomely 2-0 in that encounter, which was a very, very poor outing by Mighty Mfulira Wanderers. I think they were very, very poor in the first half as they considered those 2 goals, and Konkola Blades ultimately just sealed it. And in the second half, and Mighty Mfulira Wanderers could not just find their way. Even the likes of Clive Bieta, who is their leading scorer, could not just do anything. But this time around, playing against Power Dynamos, I think it's supposed to be redemption time for Ada. See no more other than the home side. I think Mighty playing at home. I think at home, this is where Mighty Mfulira Wanderers have proved that their prowess. They have really been very, very good at home. I think they've made the home ground a fortress. They are yet to lose a game at home, and I think that's one of the things that you really have to use, because ultimately for Mighty Mfulira Wanderers, this season is more about keeping their place in the Super League and not dropping. And they are able not to drop so many in terms of points when they are playing at home. If you can look from the games that they have played at home, they've just been able to drop 6 points from the 3 draws that they have had against Nkwazi, Forest Rangers, and Cabo Warriors. That 2-0 draw, which they were actually leading against Cabo Warriors 2-0, but Cabo Warriors had to rally from behind to equalize and get a point from Mighty Mfulira Wanderers. So this is how good Mighty Mfulira Wanderers have been. The likes of Napsa Stars have been to Mighty, they have lost 2-1. The likes of Unkana have been to Mighty, they have lost 2-1. The likes of Green Buffaloes have been to Mighty. The likes of Red Dorados have been to Mighty. They have all lost their games there. So Power Dynamos are not going to be walking on the park. It's a tough match going to Mufulira, and for me, I think I would still give it Mighty Mfulira Wanderers not losing this game. The best Power Dynamos can do, more so with their form, which is not very good in their last 3 games. I think Mighty Mfulira Wanderers are going to pick something out of this one. It may be a point, it may be the maximum 3 points, more so that Power Dynamos are not playing very well, but Mighty Mfulira Wanderers are not losing.
Would you say Power Dynamos are victims of their own success that they achieved last season?
I don't know, because if you look at Power Dynamos, I think they also had these issues even when they were winning last season. Remember the issue of Coach Mwenya Chipepo. Even as they were winning last season, there was this kind of a situation with the coach where the coach was not so comfortable being there because of certain situations which were going on, and a couple of occasions actually threatened to throw in the towel even when the team was doing very well. So sometimes you'd wonder, because those are situations that you'd expect to be happening when the team is not performing very well. But I think this time around, the situation was actually made worse when the team had a little bit of some indifferent results and getting knocked out of continental football, and just trying to solely concentrate on the local front. Things seemingly not so very well for Power Dynamos, but eventually Mwenya Chipepo had to leave, and for me, Power Dynamos, I think they just do not look the same, because last season they were very, very solid. Because even when you look at the players, they still have the likes of Aaron Katebe. They still have the likes of
the spine of the team.
Bakodila. They have Dominic Chanda from Cabo Warriors, who was very, very good for Cabo Warriors last season. Even was one of the very good players for Zambia, more especially at the COSAFA. Even for the national team in other assignments, he was one of those players that I would play. But even after strengthening the team, we were expecting that they are actually going to be much, much stronger, because up front, it's not much that they needed. Thomas Chideo is one of the very good scorers. Boyeli, definitely one of the very best. But things are not just turning out the way we expected to be for Power Dynamos. And I think they just went about everything very, very wrong in terms of the relationship between the technical bench and
Thank you.
and the fans as well as the executive.
I'm sure whatever is happening at Power Dynamos, good news for their neighbors across the Dio Carriageway, the red half of the Dio Carriageway.
I don't know how good that news could be, because even themselves, the other side, it's not like they are doing very well.
Prison Leopards take to the turf against Nkwazi at Godfrey Yukashtaro Stadium.
Oh yeah, Nkwazi, the high-flying Nkwazi, if we may have to put it, playing against this Prison Leopards side. Nkwazi last weekend, for the very first time in a long time, getting beat by NAPSA Stars, 2-0. Zikiru Adams as well as defender Luka Banda on the score sheet for NAPSA Stars. Nkwazi had been a very, very good side, and even their position on the table, on position number 3, suggest how good they have been this season. Definitely flying very high, and they had to relinquish that second slot position, having lost that game against NAPSA Stars. But Prison Leopards themselves, very, very in different form. The last 2 games have been very bad for Prison Leopards. They've not been able to score a goal, and they have conceded 5 goals. They received a huge humbling defeat at the hands of Green Eagles. They resurrected the Green Eagles, who put 4 goals past Prison Leopards. But I think it's about time these Prison Leopards actually woke up from their slumber. Their last 2 games haven't just been very good in terms of the goals that they have conceded, but more so that they've not been able to score. The likes of David Obashi, I think these are the players that they'll have to rely on in terms of scoring goals for them. Chongo Mulenga, also part of the strike force at Prison Leopards, probably should come to the fore and be able to be one of those players that are going to punish Nkwazi. And then you have got Mike Mambepa as well up front, Junior Zulu, one of those players also for Prison Leopards. But Nkwazi, I think they should take that result against NAPSA Stars last weekend as just that little blemish, not so much of a result that they should not look into, but I just try to correct the situation. Rely on the likes of Mwangani, Mashimikilo also to propel the team and be able to score the goals that are expected of them. And we know Nkwazi have actually been doing very well this season. They have been scoring goals, and they've been getting a very, very important result. We saw how they played last time around when they played against Mo. They showed they never die attitude in that game in which they scored in the 90th minute through Emmanuel Chabula. So they've got all the players that actually help the team. They've got the young Joseph Banda, who can still be able to do something when called upon from the bench. But last time around, we saw him playing as a starter. So they are a team that can do wonders, and they are a team that can get a result. But going to Forest is going to be a difficult task. But I think Nkwazi, both teams coming from a losing position last weekend, I think the owners will be more
going
on
to
Nkwazi.
Prison Leopards.
Yeah, going to Prison Leopards. Yeah, definitely. So it's definitely going to be an exciting encounter. But Nkwazi should go for it, because already this season they have proved that even after a setback, they are able to recover and get back to winning ways.
It is Green Buffaloes who are going to Forest Rangers.
Oh yeah, Green Buffaloes definitely going to Forest Rangers this time around. And Green Buffaloes, one of the teams that have not really been doing very well this season. The last 4 games have been a nightmare for Green Buffaloes. From a possible 12, they only managed to get 2 points out of that. 2 losses and 2 draws, which is a very, very poor return by the standard of Green Buffaloes. And one thing about Green Buffaloes is their scoring prowess. Green Buffaloes, remember, against Zanaco, they won 1-0. They scored 1 goal, of course, winning 1-0. In the subsequent game against Red Arrows, they lost 4-1, scoring just 1 goal. Against Mutondo Stars at home, they drew 0-0. nothing there in terms of a return from the final third. And then against Nkana, they were beaten 2-1, scoring only 1 goal. In their last game at home against Musa last weekend, it was a game in which they drew 1-0, and it was Gordon Mashata who was on the score sheet for them, and they were actually equalizing in the 94th minute. Gordon Mashata expected more to be someone who's going to distribute, but on few occasions also be able to chip in with a goal, and this time around he was the one that chipped in with a goal. I think Green Buffaloes, their final third is not as sharp as it is expected, but Forest Rangers, they seem to have resurrected. I remember they had some few very bad results before Mwenyachi people came in, when they lost to Prison Lepers 2-1, lost to Nkwazi 2-1, then drew against Konkola Blades. But the other weekend, we saw them when they played against Mwenyachi people's former side, Power Dynamos. They won 1-0. And last weekend against Zesco United, they drew that one in a derby 1-0, with Lazarus Kambole scoring a late for Zesco United. And Forest Rangers actually are playing some very good football. They have got very, very good players. They are a solid side. The likes of Obed Masumbuko, also formerly of Nkana, being there. Jack Chirwa in the middle of the park, a very experienced player who is able to step that middle of the park situation for them. So they've got all the players and all the experience that they need in their side. And I think for me, it's another tricky encounter for Green Buffaloes going all the way to Ndolo to play against Forest Rangers.
As we unpack for you what's happening this weekend in the Zambian Super League, we also accommodate some messages. Gredeo Mundea is back again, saying I think it is disappointing to have Messi on that list. The list must have only Haaland and Mbappe. Who knows, maybe in the background there are people who are behaving like what Sepp Blatter did, because we cannot have a federation behaving like that. I'm disappointed, to be specific. John M. Pondala says, good morning, Dazo and Mr. Kalapa, enjoying the program as usual. And Zesco United fan. I just thought as we continue looking at the Zambian Super League with interesting offing this weekend. NAPSA Stars, the pensioners, welcome Sharp Konkola Blades.
I think this looks more like a resurrection of NAPSA Stars, even if it's just a couple of games that they have won on the bounce. But they were very important and big games to win. More so that one of them was the derby against Nkwazi, which is usually a fierce one. They won that one last weekend 2-0, and before that they won against Prison Lepers 1-0. So this one actually not having conceded a goal in their last 2 games, more so after having received that lashing against NAPSA Stars when they were against Green Eagles when they were beaten 3-0. They actually stabilized and won the subsequent 2 games, and for me that looks very, very good for them, and that has actually given them even a little bit of a rise on the table, and from 11 points they are now on 17 points and out of the relegation troubles, and those were two crucial games that they needed to win to just get themselves out of that situation. And now playing this game against Konkola Blades. This is a Konkola Blades also that has not lost a game in their last 4 encounters. But they are from that last 4 encounters, 3 have been draws for Konkola Blades, and 1 win which came on last weekend against Mighty Mfulira Wanderers. And this is a Konkola Blades that drew against Musa, drew against Forest, and drew against a fellow promoted side Trident before they won against Mighty Mfulira Wanderers last weekend. But for me, I think you cannot see any further than NAPSA Stars are recording a win in this one against Konkola Blades, because Konkola Blades themselves have not been so much of very good travelers, and definitely for me, I think I would look more at Napsa Stars winning this one. The only time that Konkola Blades won away from home was when they played against the fellow promoted side Mutondo Stars, as well as when they played against Kansanshi Dynamos in those games in which they won both matches 1-0. So against Napsa Stars, I think it's a whole different ball game altogether, and I think Napsa Stars are going to carry the day in this one.
The other fixture is the battle of the men in uniform, Red Arrows, lacing up with Green Eagles at Nkoloma Stadium.
Oh, Green Eagles have been more of the form team. Remember, not long ago, there were ultimatums that were being issued there. I don't know whether the coaches needed the ultimatum to just push them, or the players needed...
Ultimatums work.
Maybe ultimatums work, or whoever listened to those ultimatums, because you cannot say that the coach was not putting in enough to make sure that the teams win. But the team was not just winning, but maybe he had to deliver that message to the players and say, look what is happening. More so if the coach has got a very good relationship, of which I know Alega is one of those. Alex Namasava, we call him Alega. He's one of those very good coaches. Good rapport with the players, a very understanding gentleman, and one of the up-and-coming coaches around. So he had to deliver the message to the players. Look, you guys, you are a very good bunch of players. You get all the incentives that you need at the right time. Every time when you have a result, everything that is expected to be given to you, it is given to you. But why is you give this performance? We are putting in everything that we can during training and all that. Definitely, the results had to do a turnaround there at Green Eagles, and we have seen them. They are more like the form team of the moment at this time around, and that is Green Eagles, and are playing the very best of football. Even their results, they are a very high scoring side. Even look at the way they are scoring. Last weekend they scored 4 past Prison Leopards with Amit Shamende, one of the scorers there. Hosea Sirwimba, one of the scorers. Michael Mwenya, one of the scorers, as well as leading scorer Freddie Michael, also finding himself on the score sheet. So it's really been a very, very good outing for Green Eagles. Last time around, remember, they also beat Napsa Stars 3-0. So they are more of a high-scoring side than anything else, and they've really turned things around. I think we had seen that humiliation that they suffered at home when they played against Musa when they were beaten 4-0. We were thinking it was all doom and gloom, but they're just very, very not very far from the top. They are just about 6 points, which is 2 games away from Zesco United, who are occupying top position, and Green Eagles actually are threatening to get to second position if they can win handsomely again against Red Arrows in this one, because they are just 3 points behind Red Arrows. But Red Arrows themselves have not been that bad. Last 1 at Sunset Stadium with a couple of goals scored by Pokatema and Ikoko Ebengo. Remember the player, the former Nchanga Rangers player, who is at Red Arrows now, scoring the winner for Red Arrows. And this was actually the time when Red Arrows had actually even received the sad news of the demise of one of the members, committee members in their executive, LJ. May he so rest in peace. Very unfortunate death that happened last week, but Red Arrows still went on the pitch, and I think in honoring one of their own, they delivered a victory against Zanaco in that encounter. So this time around, playing against this Green Eagles side, who are very much in form, I think it's going to be an interesting match, this one, definitely. With Alassana Diarra in the middle of the pack and Pokatema as well, who is more of a box-to-box kind of player. Winning? It can go either way, but I think I would put my man on Green Eagles.
You are listening to Football Time. Just now, take a commercial break. We'll be back shortly.
Elixir Kombucha eyachine ukufuma 2016 lemtontonganisha sisuma pa Christmas no mwaka uleisa 2024. Elixir Kombucha lweni ubusaka mwikale abomi.
good news. Mama Mwewe's Kitchen is now open at your gardens. Come and enjoy all Zambian traditional meals like shima with vinkubala, visashi, villa chicken, game meat, pampa, chibwabwa, popwe, and even mitikili. Other services we provide include events and catering. We are situated behind Machincha Garden. For orders, do contact us on 0977 847281 or 0975 419560. Mama Mwewe's Kitchen, serving all Zambian traditional meals.
Thank you for still tuning in to Football Time on 5FM and Muchinga Radio in Chinsali. We are looking at the action that is slated for this weekend in the Zambian Super League. And we have in the studios football analyst Mambo Kalapa. Xavier Manchishi pulled a muscle in training yesterday. He could not make it to be on the program today, but we're hoping by next Saturday he would have healed and he will be part of the starting lineup. Forest Rangers, Green Buffaloes, we looked at that already. Let's now unpack FC Muza and Kansanshi Dynamos at the Nakambala Stadium, a fortress for FC Muza. Do you see this one only going one way?
Not this time around. Muza have actually been very, very poor in their last 5 games, or in their last 7 games, if I may put it. Because in their last 7 games, they've only had one win. That was against the Prison Lepers way back in November on the 1. The other matches have just been draws and losses for them. And last time around, they drew away against Green Buffaloes 1-0. But their last home encounter was against Zesco United, in which they were given a 3-1 beating. And before that, at home, they lost. They drew again against promoted side Konkola Blades, 0-0. So things haven't really been that smooth for Muza, and they are actually not doing as good as we had expected them to be doing. I don't know whether it's the elimination from the continental football syndrome kind of a situation, just like it is happening with Power Dynamos. But one good thing about Muza is that in the early stages of the season, they garnered so much in terms of their form has been very bad this time around. They are only 6 points behind the league leaders. So in that regard, you can still see that Muza are actually not doing very, very bad. And it's still a very good season so far. That is going very well for them because they are on position number 4 and are still in contention to qualify for the Absa Cup tournament as at a halfway stage of the season, because I think this time around we only have we are getting into week 16 this weekend, and another weekend would have reached the exact halfway mark of the season, that is at week 17. So Muza are still on course to be among the top 6 teams in the league as at a halfway stage. So in this encounter against Kansanshi Dynamos themselves, who have not been very good, just above the relegation zone, a bit only on goal difference ahead of Konkola Blaze, because Konkola Blaze on position number 15 have got 16 points, and Kansanshi Dynamos as well have got 16 points. But Kansanshi Dynamos with the likes of Bruce Musakanya in their ranks, the likes of David Daka. I don't know how results are not really forthcoming, because if you look at this Kansanshi Dynamo side, this is a Kansanshi Dynamo side that is looking very good in terms of the quality of players that they have, are just not forthcoming. So I think it's about time that this moves are more so that they are going to be playing at home, just to get back to their winning ways. The likes of Andrew Piri should be able to find the back of the net this time around. Ricky Ngambi, most of the times have been used from the bench, could come to the forward and be able to score. The likes of Gift Simanansa in the middle of the park, maybe they just need to revive their form and get back they are very good at. Kansanshi Dynamos have not had the very best in their last 2 games when they lost to Mutondo Stars 2-0, and last weekend we saw them drawing against Nkana in that game in which it was a new draw. But at times again, this is a side like that quality in terms of the players. Yanganile Tembo, one of them. David Daka, like I mentioned, you saw what happened when Red Arrows played against Kansanshi. It was Kansanshi that prevailed. So on their day, Kansanshi Dynamos can actually get a very good result against any opponent. But again, when you expect them to do very well in the subsequent matches, they just tend to give you something that you least expect. And it's very, very difficult to predict this team, really. But I think Musa playing at home, you'd feel that it's about time that they get back to their ways and just put up a string of good results, probably to start with this one, more so that they know that there's just a couple of games before the end of the first half of the season, and there's so much to play for in terms of qualification to play in the Absa Cup next half of the season.
Nicholas Bravo Lubambo, good morning. Does Arsenal Mambo Kalapa? Watching you live from Kalingalinga and enjoying the show as usual. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Nicholas. I know Nicholas is diehard Manchester United.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and
okay.
we usually have this fight on our Facebook between Arsenal and Manchester United. Trident FC will be in action against Zesco United. On paper, this is a game you expect Zesco United to win easily.
No, not really. If you look at Trident, they are yet to win a game this season. But one thing they have done, they've just said, if we can't win it, let's not lose it. That's what they have actually. I think from their last 8 games, the only defeat was against the Mighty Mfula Wanderers on the 4th of November. The last 7 games, the 7 games from that last 8 matches have been draws. Power Dynamos have played against Trident, it was a 0-0 draw. Konkola Blaze have played, it was a 1-0 draw. It was another 0-0 draw. Kwazi, it was a 1-0 draw. Prison Leopards, NAPSA, Green Eagles, Forest Rangers, Nkana.
So you are seeing a
Mutondo, draw? They are a draw specialist. Their last 5 games actually have been draws. They have scored 2 goals and allowed 2 goals from the last 5 games. So they very, very solid. Say if we can't win it, we are not going to lose it. I think that's what they are, the kind of situation that they have developed. But they should just get in the mode of just trying to win one game. I think they have really shown so much of consistency in the way they are drawing their games. If they can only turn those games, those draws in 2 wins, it's something that can work out for them. But one thing again that is probably going to work out on Zesco United's favor is that Zesco United are a scoring side. They're the highest scoring team in the league so far, with 24 goals that they have scored and allowed 14 goals. So playing against this Trident side that are the weakest alongside Konkola Blades in terms of scoring, Trident have scored 8 goals. And defensively, they can just be as good as Zesco United, because Zesco United have allowed 14 goals and Trident have allowed 15 goals. So there's only a difference of 1 goal in terms of how good defensively Trident are and how good Zesco United are defensively. So defensively, they are definitely just almost at par. But it's on the offensive side where Trident are just not doing it. And just having scored 8 goals, it just may be the undoing part of them of their side. And as Zesco United, like we know, they have got all the quality, the likes of Kemuka, the likes of Lazarus Kambole up front, Abraham Siankombo up front as well. So they've got all these players, that is Zesco United, who are able to cause the damage, and probably it for Trident to offer the resistance, and Zesco United may just overrun them. But if they've proved that they can do that many draws, even against Zesco United, they can still do it. But I still feel that Zesco United, after having drawn drawn their last encounter last weekend, they just may go for it and try to get a win.
Hosting Kabwe Warriors at Nkana Stadium this Sunday. It should be a fascinating encounter when these two teams come up against each other.
Definitely expected to be a fascinating encounter. Kabwe Warriors have proved to be very weak recently after having had a very good run where they were sitting top of the table. Now they are actually out of the top 6, and their results have not been very, very good. From a possible 15 points. They have gotten just 1 point, which was that one odd draw against Red Arrows the other weekend. They've really been very, very bad. Last weekend, we saw them losing 2-0 against Mutondo Stars, with captain of the side, Prince Mumba, missing that penalty. Kabwe Warriors, that is expected of a team to do, but just that major statistic, which really matters in a game of what Kabwe Warriors could not manage to do against Mutondo Stars. And then Mutondo Stars duly capitalized for them. They just scored the 2 goals and consigned Kabwe Warriors to a defeat in that encounter, because this is a Kabwe Warriors that have not been doing very well in the recent past, losing to Mutondo, losing to Zanaco, losing to Green Eagles, losing to Kansanshi. Last time around, Kabwe Warriors won was when they played against Green Buffaloes in Kabwe, in which they won 3-0. After that, it's really been a very, very poor return of results for Kabwe Warriors and the Numba Mumamba coach side. This Nkana side also, which has not been doing very bad. I think from their last 5 games, Nkana have actually recorded 7 points from a possible 15, which is not a very, very bad return, considering how Nkana had started the season. So last weekend they drew against Kansanshi after having had a win against Green Buffaloes, and this is Nkana side that is still languishing in the relegation waters, but there's just a 3 points difference between them and Kansanshi Dynamos, who are on position number 14, and Kansanshi and Konkola, who are on position 14 and 15. So this is a game that Nkana should feel like Kabwe Warriors, with this kind of result, I think this is a game where the Harrison Chisala captain side should go in and try to get a result. We know Nkana can do it, but this is also a Nkana side that Kabwe Warriors should feel. This is a side that is languishing in the relegation situation. We can as well try to revive our form and get a good result. So this one, hope is going to live to the tag of what we know of these sides. These have been dominant sides in the past. Their games have been fierce, producing a lot of good football and a lot of exciting results. So hopefully it's going to live up to the expectation and produce what is expected of these two giants.
The final game on Sunday, Mutondo Stars facing off with Zanaco.
Mutondo Stars are smarting from that 2 goals to win over Kabwe Warriors, as well as another 2 goals to win against Kansanshi Dynamos. So they have had two new victories back to back. That was against Kansanshi and against Kabwe Warriors. And Zanaco smarting from that loss against Red Arrows, in which they lost last weekend 2 goals to 1. Having taken the lead through Charles Zulu, who scored a penalty, but Red Arrows pegged them back and eventually got the winner. But Zanaco, they are more of a very, very good side. They've got the players. I don't know how their performances haven't been very good at some point, but they are a side that can produce results, like we saw them when they beat Kansanshi Dynamos as well as Kabwe Warriors, but when they played against Green Eagles at home, they actually drew that 1-0 and then drew against Red Arrows. So the likes of Isaac Shamujompa should come to the fore and make sure that the defense is solid and they are able to keep this rampant Mutondo Stars at bay, because Mutondo Stars, it was more of a counter-attack. Kabwe Warriors would play all the football, but the moment Mutondo Stars got the ball, all they knew was route 1 and go Kabwe Warriors, and it actually gave them a result. Titus Chansa is one of those players that has proved to be very, very good for Mtondo Stars in terms of scoring, as well as Daliso Lungu, who was on the score sheet to score that late goal against Cabo Warriors to make sure that the result was comfortable for Mtondo Stars after Cabo Warriors were trying to get an equalizer. This one is expected to be a very, very good result. What with the Zanaco coach Wedson Nyirenda having gone out to actually further his studies in terms of getting to is it the CAF Pro license? Something that is should be of good benefit ultimately to Zanaco, but results really haven't been the very best for Zanaco, more so in their last 2 games where they have just gained a point from a possible 6 points that they would have gotten. But again, for Zanaco, you also have to look at the likes of Charles Zulu, who has been their main player, captain of the side, main player up front in terms of providing assists, but he's been chipping in with a goal here and there, even against Kansanshi Dynamos. Remember when they won that game against Kansanshi Dynamos a couple of weeks back, he was the player that was in the score sheet when he scored in the 20th minute of that encounter. So he's one of the experienced players, and he leads by experience. And he leads by example with the experience that he has. And hopefully, again, he's one player that is going to lead the team very well.
I'm sure the people that are following us via Facebook are wondering what that gentleman came to whisper to me. Well, he was telling me Liverpool will lose to Manchester United tomorrow and Arsenal win their game.
Wow, Liverpool have got a lot to still celebrate from the last time they played against Manchester. Was it that 7-0? Was that their last encounter?
I don't remember. All I have is love and admiration for the side. They're a team on their day. They can brush aside any opponent. And I'm sure they should fancy their chances against Liverpool. Why? Because very few people are giving Manchester United a chance to beat Liverpool. They're thinking it will be a repeat of that 7-0 drubbing. But that was in the past, and times have changed. Anything can happen. I'm going for a Manchester United win.
Wow, brave. Yeah, a very, very brave man. You know what is written there when they are getting in the stadium? This is Anfield. I think that tells a lot.
You know what Manchester United will do? The pressure is on Liverpool to win this game because everyone expects them to win. So the Red Devils can just go there, park the bus, deflate the tires, throw away the keys, and tell Liverpool, come and open us up if you can. Then they play counter-attacking football.
This is a Liverpool side that has been in a very, very good and scintillating form. They are table toppers, by the way, and they are playing very, very good football. And they rested most just in readiness for this match as they were playing in that Europa game against Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium. They sent a relatively young, very, very young team with an average age of about 22 years. So they are a Liverpool that are going to be much rested. And Manchester United were playing a crucial game, which they were really hoping that they would qualify. I don't know how they were expecting that to happen because they were praying for a draw in the other fixture as they were playing for a win. So there was a prayer on the other side for a draw, and then playing for a win against Bayern Munich. I don't know how they really hoped that would pan out, but it was more a game of hope for them than anything else because the result was not dependent on them. And ultimately, by their own doing, they lost that game and they are out of Europe. It's not like they are out of Champions League. They are out of Europe because they are not even dropping in the Europa League. So this Manchester United side have really not had a very, very good situation out of it, and things are really not looking very good. Even Harry Maguire, who has been playing very good.
What position are they on the log? Because the picture you're painting is so gloomy, one would think Manchester is fighting demotion.
Not that
Yet
they are fighting
only a few points away from the teams in the top 4.
Yeah, there are
top 6.
Yeah, there are a few points from the team in the top 6. Just about actually, is it 6 points away from the top 5 to qualify for the Europa? They are just on position number 6 behind Tottenham, who won their game yesterday. So Tottenham are having played actually a game more than Manchester United because Tottenham played yesterday. So it's still not a very good position considering how they've been playing recently. The results have not been. They can win one game today, but they are not going to win the next one. And one thing about Manchester United is it's very, very difficult for you to even point out to see this is their strength. Where is their strength? You don't even know where their strength is. That's a problem. Every team needs to have somewhere where you should feel this is where we are strong at, and this is where we're going to get the result from.
When they are counter-attacking, they can be lethal.
Using which player?
Rashford.
I'm sure you don't watch Manchester United.
Anthony.
Do you watch them?
Yes, I
Rashford
do.
is
Garnacho.
Rashford is
Garnacho.
You're waiting for another overhead kick.
He tried one last time.
How did it go?
That one didn't work.
Yeah, but he's a very good young lad, that one. Excellent potential. Hope he's going to live up to his potential and be able to deliver consistently at some point. But he's the one young lad who are not going to put all your burden on and say this is the boy that is going to deliver us. No, I think you need the experience. The likes of Rashford. Last season, he really put up some splendid performances, and you are hoping that after having had those kind of situations off the field, you're hoping this is a player that had now come back on forward and be able to be the main character of the team, but he just hasn't been. The likes of Martial, one player that has not lived up to the expectation. And at some point when he came to Manchester United, he was one player that was put in the same sentence with Thierry Henry in terms of the potential that he had, but he's really not lived up to that. It's very, very difficult for you to find any strength in Manchester United, really. It's something that can happen on a day in terms of them getting a result, but against this Liverpool side, this is a Liverpool side that are looking very strong. And one thing that Klopp has really done was after a kind of a dismantling of that midfield, the likes of Henderson getting out of there, and Fabinho getting out. I think the likes of Endo, the Japanese, has come in. The likes of Gravenberch on loan from Bayern Munich, the Dutch international, and you also have Szoboszlai, the Hungarian international, who's very, very good as well. So they've got all these players that have come in the middle of the park, and that they've just really settled up front. The likes of Gakpo, Salah, Nunez, Diaz. I think I don't see any Manchester United are going to stop this Liverpool side.
Prediction?
Liverpool 4, Manchester United 1.
That is Mambo's prediction. I'm sure you.
Sorry, Nicholas, but that's
you've
my
also
prediction.
got your own prediction.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Mambo. It's just his opinion. It's not a fact.
Yeah, it's definitely not a fact.
Manchester
yet,
United are winning tomorrow.
Oh, are you just trying to please Nicholas there?
No ways. I've been
But
very consistent.
That's the thing.
From their final third.
Maybe.
What other game has caught your football fans this weekend?
Well, I think the other fixture definitely maybe Manchester City against Crystal Palace. Haaland could not be available for Manchester City this afternoon, but this is the Manchester City that had at some point got for result. Very, very uncharacteristic of Manchester City in terms of result when they played those games against Aston Villa. They were beaten 1-0 until eventually they won against Luton last weekend 2-1. But this is the Manchester City that had actually against Liverpool 1-0, drawn against Chelsea 4-4, drawn against Tottenham 3-3, and eventually losing 1-0 against Aston Villa. Very, very uncharacteristic, something that rarely happens at Manchester City. A string of 4 games without winning in the league. It actually just never had Manchester City or anywhere where there's Pep Guardiola, but this time around it happened, and they had to get back to winning ways against Luton in that game in which they were trading 1-0, but eventually won 2-1. And I think against Crystal Palace, this one is one of their nemesis, actually. Crystal Palace have been doing very good against Manchester City, but that was then when they still had Zaha. This time around, Zaha is not there. The likes of Michael Olise probably should come to the fore. Eberechi Eze probably as well could come to the fore and try to force things, but I think Manchester City should just prove to be too much for Crystal Palace and Manchester City to get a result.
Away from England, in other leagues, there's no football fixture that you feel people should look out for?
I think Real Madrid are playing against, is it Villarreal? I think this one is expected to be an interesting one.
The Yellow Submarine.
The Yellow Submarine, and they are not doing Real Madrid with Jude Bellingham in their side, are definitely flying high. The likes of Joselu, you've got the likes of Rodrigo, who are just looking very, very good. But there's also the likes of Girona, who have taken by surprise in this Spanish league. They've really been playing some very, very good football. But another other leagues is Lazio playing against Inter Milan. Lazio not playing the very best of football. Inter Milan high flying in the Serie A and table toppers, more so with Juventus drawing last night in their match against Genoa. So you expect Inter Milan to try to capitalize, but playing away from home against this Lazio side, it may just prove to be too much, and I think Inter Milan would just try to go for a draw in this one. But there's also our very own in Serie A, where we're going to be playing against Frosinone. We want to see Lamek Banda again back on the field, and I think this is one player that has proved to be very, very good for Lecce. If whatever happens at Lecce, even if they may get demoted at some point, which we do not want that to happen, I think Lamek Banda is not one player who's going to be short of suitors that are going to go for him and just make sure that he stays in the Serie A. So all in all, we still expect a lot of football this weekend. And Ajax seem to have resurrected, and their form is getting better. They really have had a very, very poor form this season, but they are getting better. Though PSV have been the main team in the Eredivisie, yet to lose a game, not even drawing a game. They have been beating every team left, right, and center, including the likes of Ajax, Feyenoord. They've not been getting the very best of results against the PSV.
Mambo, thank you so much for your expert analysis this morning. We can only wish you all the best. Which local game are you watching?
I think Red Arrows against the Green Eagles at in Charleston.
You're not asking me which game I'm watching?
Which one are you watching?
Chawama Tigers versus Chawama Rangers. It's a derby.
A derby that is played every weekend.
That was Football Time on 5FM Radio. Join us again next week at the same time.
Paxton Auto Spares, your leading supplier of genuine spares of all models of vehicles, is now offering lay-by services to all our loyal and new customers.